Hello there. This is reglaze. This is me getting obsessed with tying together a bunch of React libraries to handle state mutations and wanting the best of all of them and not wanting to combine them in too much of a mess and just going down a chain of inventing my own thing. So what I wanted is kind of a state mutation that I liked from Elm, where you can pass it taking a message, taking an action, mutate the state, but also pass off some side effects. What I didn't like about Elm is that those side effects were difficult to cancel, difficult to orchestrate if they need to interact with each other. Where that really goes well is with RxJS. This is really great to set up a bunch of streams that might be triggered from each other and cancel each other, and it's got a really good lifecycle management for that. And redux-observable provides a lot of that functionality for the Redux environment. One thing I also liked was reselect, where it helped you take the state that you wanted, put it down to the actual fields that you truly needed, and make sure that you're not re-rendering more often than you need. So I set out to build this from scratch and see how it would go. So that's what reglazer is. This is my kind of reducer function. It takes the current state, the current action that is being processed, and also provides you a state stream that you may or may not need to attach to, and an action stream. So we're going to handle the actions by their kind key. If we don't know how to handle it, we'll just pass back the state and no side effects. If we're going to log out, we're going to mutate just the username field to null and no side effects. But this is where the login request gets interesting, is we're only passing through the state. We're not modifying it to track some sort of request ID that we need to match up later when the request actually goes through. We're just passing along the state, nothing to change. We're keeping all the state of kind of the request that's in flight via RxJS. So we are saying the side effect will be producing a login success action, but we're going to do that after delay, and this delay is just completely arbitrary. If we're doing a JSON request, this would be the actual call, and RxJS is smart enough to actually cancel the request in flight for us, so we can do less load if the request were to be canceled. So here's how we set up the canceling. So we've got this stream that will be emitting this action, but it's going to be taking from this delayed stream until one of these actions occurs. So this is where we use the action stream that we're being passed in. They're saying if somewhere else triggered, anywhere from another side effect, from a user action, triggers an action of a login request, login success, or logout, we want to cancel our current sending of this login success. We'll pass through any other action, but that gives us our cancellation property. So that is our full reglazer function. Now we can look at how the application actually comes together. And the application is just a function, a pure function React. So it's expecting everything to be passed in on props. I'm getting a login function, a logout function, and a username to read. So if there's a username passed, we're going to greet you, and if you click it, you'll log out. Otherwise, we'll say click the login after cancel delay, and we'll log in with hard-coded super shabam. So how do those props come onto the app? This is where we take another idea from redux-react, where we're creating a higher order component, and we're taking a map state stream to props and map dispatch to props. So username is populated, and it's giving you the state stream and expecting you to map it out to an observable of the username. And as this value changes, and only when it changes, will it be re-rendered. And so this kind of takes the place of reselect, where your entire state might be changing in complex ways, but if the things that you actually map down to don't change, then your observable in between states hasn't changed. And so there's no need to re-render. And our functionality for giving our component actions is to map dispatch to props. And we're not actually passing in dispatch, but we're expecting, however this function gets invoked, to return an action. So login expects a username parameter from the component, and it creates a login request action. Logout doesn't need any parameters, it just creates a logout action. So that's how everything gets wired up into the reglazer state handler. And what I'm really happy about this is that this is the entire code base for reglaze. It's 120 lines of RxJS, and I like it. Hope you do too.